flips, I'm 100 up. I don't even need a jacket on this side. Every day the sun is up. Look, I can show you how to really run it up. Talking big money, get your duffel up. They clapping hands by the couple bands. That's small money, you ain't done enough. My crypto boom and call it perfect timing. I ain't even hurting honest. Them broke days seem so far, and I'm so sharp I could cut a diamond. Just at the Virgin Islands, about to hit the Emirates. You know we wildin'. Them broke boys spreading FUD talk. Don't make me laugh, ain't even worth the comment. Nah, tell me how that sound to bosses. Celebrate wins and we learn from losses. Look, I ain't even capping. Need on the dental practice how much we flossing. Yeah, been around the block. This ain't nothing new, but we do this often. I walk the walk, and if money talks, then my crypto wallet's gotta be monologuing. Ball out soon as my flight lands. Blue water, white sand, sitting short side with the whole fam, just vibing out, catching a light tan. Hustle strong, don't hustle wrong. Wanna see success, you found the right man. But please excuse me, we can talk later, cause at the moment got Dubai plans on game. Diamond hands, I do hella bands. I invest money very often. Tiptoe with this crypto, feel like Jim Jones where I'm ballin'. Big whale, I make money moves in that open sea, you a dolphin. Rest in peace to the paper hand, green candle, put him in a coffin. Started with a little bit, bull market, got me going all in. NFA, spend it all a day, wait, JK like Rawlin'. On the charts, I'm stalking. Take gains when it's falling, don't get liquidated if you stallin'. New high, so appalling. Price could blow your mind. Won't let it pass me by. We on an all-time high, yeah. We at an all-time high. Partying in Dubai.
Yo, what is going on, fam? Welcome to the stream. Hope you guys are doing good today. I know the drop's coming up too, so we're going to talk about the drop as well, of course. Actually, is there a drop today? Pretty sure there is, but I think it's like Marvel. I saw Johnny done streaming, but I wanted to talk about... Actually, let me cut that music real quick. All right, so I couldn't even hear myself there for a second because the music was bumping. But yeah, so yeah, it looks like we got that Marvel premiere drop today, which is in 30 minutes. But I changed the title just now to what gives VeVe Collectibles their value, FE, all the different traits and things like that. So I wanted to talk about that because, you know, I was on, VeVe Twitter, and basically, I saw Crypto Kaki's post. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit from not only from somebody that's been in the crypto space for a very, very long time, being myself, and also being a collector for years and years as well. I actually originally started collecting like Batman figurines when I was a kid, but moved on to collecting coins, quarters, cards as well. I actually, I don't know if many of you guys know, but I actually owned all of the original Pokemon first edition cards. I had like a whole binder full of them basically back in the day. So back in the day, I had a lot of like really good Pokemon cards. So I collected Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like a bunch of other stuff. And now, of course, I'm collecting digital collectibles and NFTs. But I wanted to talk about that because I've been seeing a lot of, content out there or people talking about FEs, what gives value to VeVe Collectibles, and I wanted to talk about that because I feel like I can bring a wealth of knowledge to the VeVe community and just openly talking about it from my perspective. All right. So early on, I talked about last year in March. There's a few OGs, including actually I'm going to talk about one of the other OGs, Chef Dizzy. A lot of us that were, collectors back then and OGs, we talked a lot about discussions that are being had today. These articles we're seeing released on VeVe. These are some of the things we were talking about back in the day when we started seeing the first iterations of them last year. And I know VeVe, cleared that up, and I'm glad they did. And, in my mind, we kind of already knew that that was kind of the case and where this was going as things were rolling out. And the article obviously cleared it up. But I wanted to also talk about some other things, right? I wanted to talk about the Dubai, the jam. Do you think the Fantastic Four sub 1,000 mint for 50-ish gems is a good buy? Fantastic Four, which comic? There's like a few, right? But yeah, so let's go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about that. And And first off, let me see if I can find the actual tweet, because I know that was a topic of discussion earlier this morning, at the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour. Let's see if I can find it here. Because I thought it was a really good discussion. I thought it was a good topic to talk about as well from Crypto Khaki. All right, so let me see. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Okay, so let me zoom in so we can all see that. OG Crypto Khaki here. If you don't know, then now you do. Obviously, Crypto Khaki is all around VeVe Twitter. But by the way, if you see my that Cyberbox thing bouncing on the screen here, that is actually a sponsor of the channel. So shout out to Cyberbox for being an amazing sponsor of this channel. Let me cut this little thing out here, right here. It keeps popping up. All right. So Crypto Khaki said, for all the people who think blockchain mint order matters, explain this to me. Why, when I look up 10K generative projects, value is solely on property rarity and not mint order on blockchain? Isn't VeVe edition number and rarity tag the same thing? I don't expect any of y'all to answer this because I know you have no answer. I might open up a space later and debate this further. I think it's a good space to talk about it. I don't know if there's necessarily a debate just yet, because I've been saying this for a very long time. We are still so early, and even Gary Vee has said we're so early. And I don't mean to like agree with Gary Vee on some things, right? I know, when it comes to the VeVe community, I'm obviously like protective of a little bit of that, obviously, but when it comes to the blockchain, we are really early, and I've started echoing this a little bit in my videos. So what it means, like as far as the blockchain goes, and this is something I talked about last year, is that I felt like there was going to be gradings coming to the blockchain. And what that looks like for me is different from what it looks like maybe to some of you guys and gals out there, because a lot of people think that, I'm just like talking about things that it's just hard, right? If you don't know the blockchain, it's hard to understand. But there are certain, there's on the blockchain, for instance, there is token IDs, right? So when you mint a collection out on like, let's say OpenSea or the layer 1 or layer 2, you're going to have token IDs that are associated with that NFT. So therefore it's going to have basically a mint number, right? So those will definitely look clean. The transactions, on the other hand, they don't look as clean as, the regular token ID, right? So if those token IDs don't necessarily go in order, there's definitely going to be a little bit of confusion as to what's the first actually minted on the actual blockchain. And while yes, there is going to be the technical side, I caught a little snippet of NFT Pirates YouTube video, and I heard them talking about it. I didn't watch the whole video. I watched about, less than a couple minutes, but I thought I would just gear up this live stream and just get it going. I got a ton of stuff I got going on in my world, so I can't watch everybody's videos and all that good stuff. But I know from my perspective, it is important to look at the blockchain, because the blockchain is what's driving the underlying technology of these collectibles and the OMI token, right? So, if you're collecting OMI, you're literally running the application that is VeVe, right? So it is definitely important. So let me go ahead and look at the chat here and see what is going on. And I'll actually get this, if I can find my mouse. Oh yeah, this thing. Let's see here. Let me scroll back out. And let's get the music back. How about we do that? I gotta take off my headphones, man, because those are kind of getting distracting. All right, so let me do this here real quick. I'm gonna look at the chat here. There we go. All right, Landon. First is first. FE for objects is the same as FA for figure. Yeah, exactly. So Landon, I think you're definitely on the right track. And I also wanted to talk on the technical, like, blockchain side of things. Silversmith Shield LTD. Hey, brother. Hey, what's going on? Felonini, the new one that dropped Monday. I came from Pokemon collecting. I sold my PSA 8 first edition Zard for a SR Spidey, as Spidey reminded me of the PSA 10 first edition Zard. So far, so good. LOL, still holding strong. Yeah, DW, you're on the right track as well, coming from Pokemon. Do you think the new Fantastic Four... Okay, yeah, I didn't answer that question because there's a few comics out there. Let me see. Where is my... Let's see if this... see if this chat banner works. There we go. All right. So yeah, this brings me to let me go ahead and bring up, let me see if I can find the VeVe article, actually, the FE here on the Medium. All right, so in case, let me just like back it up for a second. Defining edition types. This was the article they just put out February 10th. This was like a week ago. Nothing really new here. You know, objects, first appearance, first edition. You know, first appearances to like characters, you know, basically humans, or maybe not humans, maybe like aliens. It's just characters, right? First edition objects, you know, things that are like, you know, basically not a character, not a human or character, but basically an object. There's like some updates they're doing, basically like all the art slash, you know, inanimate objects or things like that, right? They're going FA to FE, which helps clear a lot of things up. But I wanted to talk about other things. Like I wanted to talk about like, for instance, the actual blockchain. What gives value to VeVe Collectibles, right? That's what I titled this video in the stream. And so, you know, when we're looking at some of these collections, people are kind of getting confused as to, let me take a look at this tweet. Let me see if I can X out of here. And there's actually a thread here. And I kind of replied and I said, here's my quick take on it. As far as what Crypto Kaki was saying here, comparing the mint order, you know, to generative projects. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. All right. So when it comes to generative projects, how they work is they are basically randomized. So meaning the first token, the first minted ever of that collection might be the least rare, right, in that collection. It may not have very rare traits. Now, let's say pretend that, like, since it is randomized, the very most rare, you know, in that collection could technically be the last one minted, right? And that last one could still have, you know, the craziest traits. Like it could be like gold. It could be a one basically hand done by the actual artist of that generative project, if that makes any sense. And so when people are minting these generative projects, they are trying to like hit it big with those super rare NFTs in that collection. And with VeVe, it is different. It's completely different when it comes to that. Now, you could actually collect that first token in that 10K generative project, and, you know, that could be valuable to you, but that's not necessarily what, you know, people associate with value when it comes to these generative projects, because that's what they are. They're generative projects that are randomized. And for that reason, in each one of those NFTs looks completely different, right? None of them are exactly alike. So when you're comparing something that is randomized and completely, you know, each one of those NFTs is completely different, and comparing it to VeVe Collectibles, where, you know, say if you had 10K of them and they look exactly the same, then you're kind of comparing, you know, you can't really compare the two, right? I mean, you could go off and collect that number one minted one, but is that really going to associate value with that OpenSea collectible? To those collectors that are actually collecting, probably not, right? Because it's a completely different game when it comes to those generative projects. So when you're comparing it to VeVe, I think it's quite different. Now, the things that I'm drawing conclusions to is my quick take that I said this morning. OpenSea assigns rarity, you said, based on traits, which, you know, if you're on OpenSea, you obviously want some pretty dank traits if you're collecting those collectibles. And with VeVe, you have like these traits that people are automatically assigning, right? It's human nature to basically, like Chef Dizzy said in this thread, to split hairs. It's natural for that to happen. And the things that fall into place are FE, FA, FE, CE, and even VE tags that are coming, I think, to some of the comic exclusive covers and things like that. Rarity tags, ultra rare, secret rares, mint numbers, because those are what differentiate themselves on the VeVe app, since they are the same exact collectible. So naturally, collectors are going to associate value to things that differentiate themselves, the same as generative projects when it comes to when it comes to that side of things. That's where the similarities are. But aside from that, it's hard to compare them directly because you can't do that. You can't really compare it. Now, with that being said, now with something like CryptoPunks and the longevity of crypto as a whole, maybe that becomes the case 5, 10, 20 years from now, right? Years down the road where, like it's all collected out, like everything's already been talked about, dissected, and everything like that. Then you start seeing, these historians come in on the blockchain. Like blockchain historians are like, okay, well, what was the first minted one ever of CryptoPunks or whatever? Then yes, you can associate value there. But currently, like there is the rarest ones, I believe, are like the aliens and things like that when it comes to CryptoPunks. And those are the ones that are typically have and carry the most value. Now, you do have, like I said, NFT historians, which look at, some of the very first generative or very first PFP projects ever minted on the Ethereum blockchain. And definitely that has some value associated with it there. But once again, that just having one of those is good enough, right? And some of these are Skull Tunes on OpenSea legit pre-sale? No, those are not. Those Skull Tunes have not even minted yet. So be cautious, fam. You will never, most of these projects you will only be able to mint on the actual website. So be very careful of all of that. All right. So when it comes to VeVe, anything that gives it extra traits is basically what's driving kind of that, even if it's scarcity, right? Scarcity, mint numbers, all of that. That's what's driving the value to a lot of these VeVe collectibles. Because, like I said, collectors like to split hairs. And you see collectors like Chad, aka NFT Pirates, and comic collectors that come in and associate a lot of value with some of these things that are the same in the collector's world, right? You collect some of these comics, the first appearance of a character in a comic is a really big deal. And, like basically that is it, right? And that it's the same thing when it comes to VeVe collectibles. It's not really that much different. Now, when it comes to OpenSea, instead of having these like specific, different things that we commonly associate with VeVe, with these tags and rarities and things like that, these are like kind of like the traits in a generative project, right? And that's where the similarity is once again. So aside from that, it's hard to compare the two. And so now IP rarity tag mint number, very simple, and it's enough. You guys make up new rules. So he says, they kind of have a little debate there. No big deal. I don't think it's necessarily making up new rules, in my opinion. I think it's just, I think it's actually kind of drawing parallels back to what I said here. Chef Dizzy says exactly right. It's not new rules. We've been pricing in mint numbers since the beginning, except now the numbers have changed. I get how you want to blah, blah, blah. Okay, so all right. So that's pretty much the kind of the common thread, but on that, There's also I saw Sam Ellis comment, and he had kind of a point too. But it's all the same thing. Like everybody's arguing exactly the same thing, which is actually pretty funny. So let me see if I can find Sam Ellis's tweet. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So it says, to me, it's more associated to the significance of brands and IP being dropped onto the blockchain for the first time. Yes, I agree. Combined with mint number being the only true derivative to separate value on VeVe. Now that's not the only true derivative, right? There's still other things. You have mint number, you have the tags, right? Secret rare, ultra rare, and then you have you know, other things like that. So which I mentioned up here. Yeah, mint number series, so like S1, FA, FE, CE, rarity, like all that, right? Anything that you can derive value from. So I think there's a little bit more than there. It's created its own unique narrative that it's worth creating comparisons. So yeah, so I mean, I agree, but that goes back to, he says exactly my point with this, but that's exactly what I said up here, just a different worded format, right? And also, yes, the community, I believe, will... Oh, wait, are we... is this still on the track? Oh, yeah, it's playing like some lo-fi stuff. Let me go back to the... After non-fungible track ends, it goes to some kind of like lo-fi stuff. Let's see here. This is one of my favorite songs right here.
Gary said work hard. Gary said that's it. Gary said keep going. Gary said don't quit. Gary said them little things and life might be it. Gary said since
all right, so let me get back to the chat here. So it doesn't matter. Our school tunes. Yo, what's going on, Pineapple Gang? December, good luck, guys. Yeah, we got 9 minutes. I've been tempted to sell my Todd and Superman to buy a sub 500 mint Todd, but can't tell if that's worth it long term. So hard. Only reason I'm thinking this is that these both have high-ish mints. I think, yeah, sub 500 is tough. Now, if you're able to get like sub 200, I think there's a definitely bread and butter there. Now, I was one of the first ones to say that, you know, so anything like, you know, people are going to start collecting those sub 500s, you know, and it's funny to see like people talk about the same stuff over and over. But I guess a lot of the stuff back then we didn't really put into a YouTube video and put it out there, but it's all being talked about again, about like what value associated with these VeVe collectibles. Yeah, that one's a tough one. There's a couple good snipes before, even when Todd was running up to 10K, but it's hard. I agree. Just because any Todd, like honestly, any Todd on the VeVe app is pretty valuable, right? It's like owning a basey. Like people are like at some point owning just one basey is a big deal, right? Now, if you're like a celebrity, you might want to own a certain type with a certain type of trait, which is similar to like what VeVe does, is like mint numbers, right? So yeah, I mean, if you're like, if it's within your means, it's on you, right? So I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but yeah, so if it's within your means, and you know, you got to basically risk, you know, taking that consideration of risk versus reward, right? That reward risk ratio. So yeah, that is a tough one, but just owning a Todd in general on VeVe, it's like owning a basey. Like if you just own one, it's going to be pretty valuable in my opinion. Yo, good luck, guys. Appreciate it. Good luck to you too. DW, you think liquidity, if you are going to want to sell, will you be okay selling close to floor on the above 500 mint or less than 500? Yeah, so that's another thing, Landon, is like, I agree with that. Like if you are just a low mint collector, when you go to resell it for how much you think it's worth, other people might not think it's worth that much, and they might actually just rather buy a floor collectible, right? Because they can still associate with owning that collectible and be fine, right? It's like, well, I own one, so bada bing, bada boom, I'm good to go. I really don't care about the mint number. The mint number doesn't matter to me. The blockchain says I own one. That's all that really matters. So there is the opposite argument for not even caring about the mint number, right? So I know we, like with VeVe Collectibles, we have obviously the collecting side of it, which is fun and great. And then, you know, it is funny to see, like, we try to make it all sexy to collect. Like, you got to have that sub 50 mint number, and you know, it's like, no, if you just have one, you're cool. I mean, it's fun to collect, right? And I think that's where we should definitely focus a lot of attention on. Now, if you do have a rare mint number, or like a, you know, a low mint number, dude, that's awesome. Like I would love to collect low mint numbers all the time, but that's not within my budget and my means. So, but if you are one of those collectors, good for you. But yeah, you do have to worry about that liquidity factor in for sure. You know, if you own like a low mint Todd and you go to resell it, like, there's only going to be a finite amount of people that will probably buy it for what you think it might be worth, and really how much they might think it's worth, right? There's just a small, tiny group, and that's it. And so it's going to be much easier to floor a like 4,500 Todd, and not only you feel good about it, but the buyer feels good about it. Everybody feels good about buying that Todd or selling that Todd, because they don't have to worry about that panic attack when you go to list it if it's like a sub, you know, 50 mint. So yeah, there's definitely the mental part of it as well. And I've even seen some other OGs post about that as well, where the same exact sentiment that Landon just posted, where you know, maybe it's, I think it was the guy that drank his pee, Ali or whatever. I think he posted that as well, where you start having to worrying about liquidity when you start collecting those low mints, and you've already spent a ton of money. So there's definitely, in my opinion, a lot of risk associated with that, just because it's not a generative project, and the only differentiating factor is going to be that, you know, that mint number when it comes to the same exact collectible, right? But when it comes to the broader NFTs, like owning an S1 set, that's going to be huge. Like any S1 set, when you go to resell it, they're supposed to allow us to resell our sets, right? So in the future, at least that's what Dan Crothers has mentioned before in AMAs, and I think that's going to be important, and maybe even more so important now if you own. Okay, so this is where I think the low mints really start coming into play, though, is the sets. And I know somebody in the community, and hang on, let me take a drink. This is where low mints, in my opinion, come into like really valuable, is when you own the entire set with the entire same mint number of that set. So like, imagine the set Series 1 Batman, black and white. You own the number 41 mint of Joe, Todd, Riso, and Becky, and then you go to resell it. Like that's big. That's a big move, right? I think that's more appealing for me when it comes to low mints, is if you own the entire set of the low mint, that's pretty strong. Like if I'm gonna go all in and collect the low mint, like give me that set, you know. I think that's where a lot of the value will come in the future, and I've seen some people collect those same exact mint numbers, and that is pretty cool. But if you own just like one, you know, I don't know, like there's a lot of arguments, you know. I think if you do own a low mint, or you got one on retail, like that is super awesome, like not to take any value away. Like one of my favorite mints is a Ace 150. Oh crap, we're about like 2 minutes out. Hang on. Hold up, wait a minute. We're a minute out. Here it up. Here we go. I'm not sure how behind this clock is on the screen though. We got 30 seconds. Here we go. We're going to go with Rhythm Gate. 15, 14, 12, 11, 7, 6, dang it, I missed it. Ah! I get so mad, dude. I just want to rage quit. That's why I streamed like Nightwing way back in the day, and I was gonna stream like drops all the time, and the community asked me to do drop streams, but yeah, man, I just get so mad, man. I just get so mad. I want to punch this camera. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Yeah, so with that being said, all right, we established everything. I talked about this. I think people are just arguing the same exact point. It's just different wording, and I think maybe people don't realize that they're actually just saying the same exact thing. When it comes to this right here, I've already extrapolated, right? I've already extrapolated and explained this take right here, and why it makes sense. And everybody's kind of just wording it a little bit differently, but it literally just all goes back to right here, right? It all goes back to this when it comes to the OpenSea. So I think that being set aside, I do think that over time, you know, to like either more technical people or blockchain historians, I think that's going to come into play a bit more in the future for sure. And I already predicted like I believe there's going to be NFT grading, and I don't know what that looks like because we are here so early, and you know, it's way too far in the future, right? You know, even like talks of like, for instance, the comics being burned if you read them, like that ended up being a topic, you know, because people wanted to associate more value with the comics that weren't read, and AKA like digitally slabbed or whatever, if you will. So there's already been talks of stuff like that. Obviously that's not going to be the case, but I think when we're talking about in terms of signing an NFT, I think that's going to be huge. And I think that's going to add definitely some grading to these collectibles. And I also think that, you know, the blockchain is going to tell a story at the end of the day, and I think some of that will factor in as well. Like who's owned it. I think that's pretty cool. Like if you can own a collectible that was owned by maybe an OG or somebody that had it before you, I think that's cool. Like who does not want to collect stuff like that, right? And I think that will have levels of significance long run. Now it's up to the community to decide what that even means, right? But it's something I said last year, and I've heard it talked about in, you know, some of the chats and groups I'm in, even from the most like, you know, biggest collectors, you know, in crypto and on the physical side of stuff. So now with that being said, yeah, Chaosium, I don't know if you guys heard that news. They're actually going to cease minting any future NFTs here. So if you guys didn't know that, I forgot about that. I was going to bring that up in this stream here, this article, and they it's funny. That's all I'm going to say. So it says based on our research and experience with them, we believe that VeVe is an ethical company pioneering a new digital community for collectors, which uses its distributed ledger technology in a legitimate, meaningful, and environmentally responsible way. But I think that reading this, it seems like they may have still caved into their physical game, you know, gamers that play the game and collect and stuff like that, which is very unfortunate for a brand like Chaosium that probably could use the revenue from a platform like VeVe. I think they could make a lot of money with VeVe, and obviously with like 2 million users on VeVe. So yeah, so this company suspends plans for future NFTs. Now I think that as masses get educated. This is the same kind of thing that we are, it says tabletop gaming community. So there you go. I think traditional gamers are really having trouble understanding NFTs. And it shows with, like, you know, even on the digital gaming side, gamers really having trouble understanding the value of NFTs and thinking that they're just like, you know, yeah, it's just part of blockchain, token ID, blah, blah, but what does that mean, right? Well, I think that it's just so early that they're having trouble extrapolating value to these associated NFTs and what that means, right? And in the future, I think that projects like Illuvium will have significant importance to gaming and what an NFT means, because I've interviewed one of the founders and they talked about how they have plans to integrate their Illuvials or NFTs into future games. And I think that's really cool, because owning one of those Genesis NFTs means you get, you know, utility in other things. And I think that's important to notate, as companies like Chaosium or, you know, gamers may not realize that you can add utility to the NFTs and forever, right? We've seen Gary Vee with his, you know, V friends. He's even talked about, you know, many times over, talking about, you know, driving utility to that project forever. Like, it's a lifetime project. And it's important to know that when you're coming into the space, is like, you definitely need to get educated on these NFTs, right? And what they mean and why they are important. And they're literal pieces of history, right? This is the very first appearance of some of these characters ever on the blockchain. And that's very important to know, which is obviously they're getting the FA, FE tags. So it is definitely important to note that. So anyways, let's go back to the chat. I'm in a game right now. No lucky, but I did get a Donald the other day. Big win on my end. Hey, congratulations, Troy, on that Donald, man. I biffed it on that drop, man. I biffed it. But that's all I wanted to do this video on, because I keep seeing the same, like, talking loops. But when it comes to FA, FE, those are, you know, I think those are definitely important. Obviously, with the first appearance of characters, first edition of characters, that's kind of obvious, right? I also think that it's important to take a look at the entire ecosystem of blockchains, right? The first ever Spider-Man NFT, or like the very first any character, right? Like Batman, for instance, right? He's based on Immutable X, and he's the very first Batman, licensed Batman, like, ever. That's important. And I think as time goes on, people are going to start realizing, like, you know, to not necessarily lock themselves in. Because I think if it was minted on Solana, I would still probably be excited about it. And it's important to familiarize yourself with other blockchains. I'm not saying Solana is going to be like, you know, the go-to for that kind of thing, but I'm looking at other platforms that are like trying to get into the brand stuff, and I'm analyzing them, right? I'm analyzing what they're doing, because I definitely want to make money on those platforms as well, and really get those 10, 20Xs. I know that's not like necessarily popular at the moment right now, but I think it's going to start really, I think it's really going to start being a little bit different as time goes on, right? Especially this year. I think people are going to start realizing, like, let's say, for instance, Yu-Gi-Oh, right? A brand like Yu-Gi-Oh, let's say they dropped on Polygon because it's cheaper. I think a lot of people would be interested in that, especially from the VeVe community, even if it wasn't on the VeVe app, right? It was on just some random, you know, deal. I think we would all get pretty excited about that. Now, we would wish it came to VeVe, right? I think all of us love VeVe. We love the founders. We love the team. We love what they're doing. We love the project. But if it came to something else, like Yu-Gi-Oh came to a different platform, I think it would be wise to try to get that drop, right? And so I think it's important to know that, especially those first appearances and first editions coming to the blockchain, like, ever. I think everything's important, right? Some VeVe people already caught on. There's some OGs that are looking at these first appear, like Atari doing stuff. Like, I think that's really cool. Atari has like their own ecosystem, and I think they're going to do really well in the blockchain. I see them everywhere all the time. They got their own token, they got their own NFTs dropping. Like, they're doing some really cool stuff. Now they're kind of like dropping a little bit like everywhere, so it's kind of like chaos a little bit. But yeah, so that's what I think about that. But NFT, I have to be on ETH, not Solana or Polygon. No, you can mint NFTs on all those blockchains pretty much, you know what I mean? Now Ethereum's going to have like some heavy weight associated with it because it's like that OG, you know, blockchain, right? Let me go to, hang on, let me go to the let me share my screen real quick. So this is a Solana blockchain. This is the Solana blockchain, but this is the marketplace for the NFTs. So all these like blockchains, they have their own marketplaces now. They have their like own mini open seas on their own blockchains. Yeah, I mean, the blockchain is the blockchain at the end of the day, and you can mint on like most blockchains, you can mint on them those NFTs. It's just a non-fungible token, right? It's just a token ID. So therefore you can mint on any of these. So what happens on these platforms, especially these blockchains that are brand new and they launch, a lot of the time, I had like this big piece of hair on me, and you guys didn't tell me. You guys didn't tell me I had some like weird fuzz on me. Anyways, it's always important to take a look at it and see what the first, you know, NFT is on this platform. I did it with Immutable X with you guys, with the Crows and the Astro Bros, and those like went up in value like insanely. They've dropped a lot down since then, but in the beginning, since they were the very first NFTs on that platform, or, you know, basically PFPs, a lot of people associated a lot of value with that. And but yeah, this is the Solana blockchain. You can see a lot of projects. These are NFTs on Solana. So yeah, that's you know, you look at Immutable X here, layer 2 solution, and then of course Solana. So yeah, it's all gravy, man. It's the NFT space. I'm in like the deep chats. I'm in like the bowels. I'm in like the deep degen like NFT chats every day, and you know, so I know a little bit extra than what we're seeing in the community right now. It says look on Google that NFT is okay. Maybe I'm not right. Yeah, same. I've been collecting NFTs on a lot of blockchains. Solana, layer 2, Immutable X, OpenSea. There's many others. Arbitrum now. There's Treasure DAO, or, you know, on the Treasure ecosystem. What else is there? There's AVAX NFTs now. What else is there? There's Cardano NFTs. Those were pretty hot earlier last year. So yeah, you can mint NFTs on these blockchains, and I think it's going to be important. I think VeVe people, as far as the macro, when I say VeVe people, I just mean the community. It's definitely like a lot of people are in this bubble a little bit, and I think we need to take a step back sometimes and realize like there's other NFTs like in the entire space, but it is hard to use. Like these, like it's not easy to get in some of these ecosystems. I think Solana is definitely the easiest one when it comes to other platforms. AVAX and Arbitrum, I think, are a little bit more difficult. I think once you get used to it, using it, I think it's easy. I think they're all very similar. I think it's just familiarizing yourself with the different wallets and blockchains. And maybe one day, you know, I kind of have a feeling that one day that there's going to be bridges, and we'll be able to port our NFTs over to one another, one of these blockchain blockchains. It's a long ways out. I'm already seeing, you know, bridges being built everywhere. Like, for instance, with like layer 1 Ethereum, you can bridge your ETH to layer 2. Like, I think we'll see that obviously with NFTs. I think there's already plans for it. And I think that brands will obviously pay attention to that. I think that's more of the true metaverse, right? When we're able to send our NFTs to other ecosystems maybe in the future. So we'll see. I'm not a developer, you know, but I'm more of a see the future guy. What do you think will be better, to hold Donald Duck card or Donald card or Donald Gold moment? Well, what was the very first appearance of Donald as a NFT period? Not factoring in VeVe, not the tags, but what was his very first picture? What was his likeness? Very first likeness. It was that lenticular card. That's what I think. When it comes to me as a collector, that gold moment is for sure pretty sweet, and it also has you know, Daisy Duck in it, right? So it's hard to compare the two. Now, if Donald was by himself and I'm comparing the lenticular card to the gold moment, I could kind of directly compare a little bit there, but since Daisy's involved, it's hard to compare. But yeah, I think that those lenticular cards are very important. Best NFT to buy, you know, right now I'm not really sure. I haven't looked at the market in a few days. I know I'm hodling strong right now. I'm not really selling anything just because the market has dipped quite a bit. We can actually take a look at the cherry charts and see what's going on.
We had an all-time high, partying in Dubai. We breaking out of the sky, moonshot when we fly, yo. Paper hand just might cry, price could blow your mind. Won't let it pass me by, we on an all-time high, yo. We had an all-time high, partying in Dubai. We breaking out of the sky, moonshot when we fly, yo.
I'm gonna pull up the cherry charts real quick and look at the market cap.
Won't let it pass me by, we on an all-time high, yo. We at an all-time high, we at an all-time high, yeah. We at an all-time high, we at an all-time high. The way that we going up, if it's ridiculous, crypto be more than just know who you dealing with. It was a puzzle and
All right, so gosh, guys, we are, guys and gals, man, we are down. We're down big from that 2 billion market cap. Like, look at this, and just slowly just kind of going down. Now, I think 1.5 billion, that's that psychological level. I don't know if people really care though, since we can't really see this data openly anywhere. But look at this, 2 weeks ago, 1.7 billion. We're down 1.5 billion. That's a pretty big dip from 2 billion just a few, like 3 weeks ago, right? 3 or 4 or a month ago, when there's like all-time highs and everything. It's hard to get back up to all-time highs. Like, it takes a while, which I think we're on the, like, there's the all-time high, we're dipping, and it takes time, right? It takes time to go back to an all-time high, and then it usually corrects and then it goes back up. That's typically the pattern you see. So we may be in this, like, this little phase right here. So it may take a while, a couple months, before we see all-time highs back again. There's going to have to be those exchange catalysts, and even then, you know, so I am hodling, you know, my collectibles for sure. Now, if you got dry powder and, you know, you got some extra gems, you know, there might be some good deals out there. All right, so that's all I got for the stream. I just wanted to talk about not only the blockchain side, but the FEFA. I think FEFA is like a no-brainer. I think that's like, we already know. At least I know. You know, I knew the assignment. I knew what was going on the whole time. This is what OG has been talking about since last year, especially like OGs. You know, this isn't really anything new as far as this goes. Chaosium deal, and yeah, as far as like OpenSea generative projects versus VeVe, it's hard to compare, right? Because they're just two completely different worlds in how collectors associate value to each one of those. So I don't know if there's necessarily a debate on that. I think that obviously the community decides what value is, obviously, but I think another obvious extrapolation is that naturally collectors are just going to collect things that are harder to collect in general, and it's just human nature at the end of the day. So that's all I got, really, man. Not really arguing a point, just my point, I guess, like what conclusions I'm making from my point of views, and me being in the crypto space for a long time, me being a collector for a long time, and me having probably way more NFTs than anybody else when it comes to outside of the VeVe app. You know, obviously there's whales out there, so take that with a grain of salt. There's probably some people that are just have massive amounts of NFTs that I don't know about, like the Mario Karters. That dude has probably so many NFTs, and he's like was one of the OGs back in the day. So take that with a grain of salt. But I mean, and most people, right? Most people aren't messing with other stuff outside of VeVe. Maybe we'll have a live stream or a space with some of these like Ethereum guys, and you know, extrapolate, like we'll basically pull out of their brains like kind of what they think about it. Thanks, you have a good one. I have to run out. Peace. I'm out too, man. So thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate every one of you guys. I don't even know how many people are on the stream right now, by the way. We got 17. I wouldn't say best NFTs, not on VeVe, because it's like you have the partner statue at 40K and Spider-Man at like, I don't even know what they're at now. I think Spidey was at like 60 to 80K. But yeah, I mean, long term, like once everything's set in stone and we can pull these up on Immutable X with no problem, I think it's a smart idea to own some of these brands and IPs on VeVe, right? Like it's just it's kind of common sense. Now a lot of degens in the NFT space, they want to be cool and like, oh, I'm collecting nifty nuggets and it's super degen and you know it's got utility. Like that's really cool, right? But you know, it's kind of common sense to collect like the first Batman like ever, right? It's just like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, it's really like, if you know, back then at least, right? Like I'm talking like last year when it was super cheap. It's like, well, why weren't you collecting the very first Batman, but you're over here collecting like a pixel? Like, you should probably do both, right? Like if you're that smart and you're that wise, you should probably try to collect both. And I think people are starting to realize that as time goes on, is like when these brands drop, it's important to not only collect these like degen plays, but it's also important to have a little bit of, you know, some sense and collect some of these brands. And some degens, both VeVe and ETH degens and, you know, NFT degens, I think that some of them have already caught on, and I see it on Twitter all the time. There's a couple of OGs that already caught on, but it's funny because, yeah, there's like the Ethereum or the, you know, typical degen that haven't really caught on to the brand side of things yet. It's like you should probably do both. Like if you really want to make a lot of money, you should probably be trying to, yes, grind for those, you know, super hyped, you know, PFP projects that will have some pretty cool utility, but you should also be trying to get some of these like common sense, like, you know, the very first Batman, the very first this, the very first that, the very first Superman, like the very first, you know, like the very first Batman. Right? So that's all I got. Like, anyways, I'm just saying, like, comparing two different things is hard, but like when it comes to the FE tags, I think there's just, you know, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But I'm willing to have somebody on the channel. Maybe we'll debate. Maybe we'll just talk, chat. I don't think there should be a debate. I think it's just like we chat about it as collectors as a whole. But that's all I got for this video, and hope you guys enjoyed. I'm out, and appreciate you. Sub and hit that bell, and so you don't miss any more streams like this, and smash the thumbs up. so we break through that YouTube algorithm. Peace.
We going up, I know who with me. Okay, you see that we busy. New NFT, it costs a milli. Ultra man in the city, battling Ito, made that boy dizzy. Can you not copy your raps? You looking silly like Milli Vanilli. Ride with the top down, VeVe City. Locked down in the metaverse, it's a frigid. Provide for the family, I got plenty. Ultra man on nature grease, I'm a demi. Gotta take care of your kids, gotta take care of the little ones.